I was born in Toledo, Ohio, and grew up there. It was a nice Midwestern town, ordinary in most every way. In the mid-50s, it was, again, the time here in the States was pretty exciting because we had a lot of heroes and scientists and engineers. They weren't just entertainers or athletes, and always kind of got a bug that I wanted to do research. I think if I look back, even where that interest came from, it's probably from my father, who was on a business trip, brought me home a chemistry set when I was in 4th grade. And somehow it was this lifelong interest in science and research. I didn't even have any interest at all in medicine or a career in surgery. At the time I was growing up, I just liked the whole concept of discovery and things were happening. This was during the space program, was really big at the time, and scientists, and everything was possible. Society, your heroes were not just entertainers and athletes. They were scientists and they were engineers, and it was the press. Nothing was as negative, and exposures and kind of a cynical nature of what things are today. I used to read a lot of science fiction, and Heinlein, Arthur C. Clarke. When I was with my roommate in my fraternity, Jay Walker, who subsequently founded Priceline.com of all things, but Jay and I, and it was all mostly Jay's work. I mean, I was kind of a minor assistant to Jay, but we'd kind of come up beginning of the year and just decide who we're going to invite. He would invite one and I'd invite one. He'd invite William Shatner, and of all things now Shatner was a spokesperson, Priceline, and it goes back to that. And I loved Isaac Asimov, and I liked space travel and stuff, so I invited Werner von Braun. But Isaac Asimov was interesting. He came with his wife, and a small group of us in a fraternity that had the endowment, had dinner and spent pretty much a day with him. I always tell folks that today, even in surgery, doing robotic surgery, the first person to tell me that I'd be operating with a robot now was probably in a different way than he imagined, was one of our speakers we brought in at Cornell, who was Isaac Asimov. Currently, the changes we're undergoing in healthcare today are so profound that I don't think healthcare and medicine has ever seen such changes, at least in education, since around the early 1900s with the Flexner Report, or around delivery of care and economics since Medicare in the early 60s. So there's no corporate memory now of what it was like to practice before the 1960s. And I think we're right now in the midst of tremendous change. I think there are things that will be different, whether they're better or worse remains to be seen. But I think, given good people, I think there'll still be great discoveries. We're in the midst of tremendous discoveries in biomedical research, with genomics and epigenomics, all these things coming together. I think the chance to really cure or ameliorate disease is the best we've ever seen. I think I'm optimistic in that regard. Well, for the economics of it, however, I think there are challenges that we have to do things in a different way. And I think I've seen it as a chairman of a department, as a president of a practice plan. I see the financial challenges sitting on council at the NIH. I think that we don't have enough money always to do what we need to do. And I think there'll be huge fiscal challenges. That we need to overcome. I'm optimistic about the discovery. the people going into medicine, I'm a little more cautious and pessimistic about our ability in these times of tremendous financial turmoil to pay for a lot of things that need to be done. But we came to Charlottesville and never left, and that's not an unusual story. And I think that when you see what's here, like I mentioned, where else could you live in the country and have a vineyard but yet be, associated with and work at a major academic medical center? It's quite a unique juxtaposition of lifestyle, environment, academics, and with great collegiality. I mean, it's one of the best places to work. I think we all get opportunities over the years to go elsewhere, to look at job opportunities, but it's hard to surpass the University of Virginia. You get your big city fix, we're close to Washington, but you also can have a fulfilling life. I mean, the Jeffersonian idea of kind of a renaissance, have outside interests as he did in farming and gardening, I think that's a healthy lifestyle. He's still, I think, a role model for many people in Charlottesville and at the university. So I can't take credit for any of the vineyard. This is Amy's handiwork. She was a oncology nurse, was at MD Anderson as well. Gave up nursing 14 years ago to, instead of care for patients, and she cares for vines. A little less stressful, except during fall harvest where it gets to be pretty stressful. Well, those aren't usually two words that you want to associate, is wine and urology. That's probably not exactly a good pairing, a juxtaposition of words is wine with urology, but essentially it's kind of a fun hobby. I think when you're in medicine, you need to be passionate about something outside of medicine, and for us, it's food and wine. I think you have to travel anyway. A lot of what we do, we travel. You don't have time for other hobbies. You always have to eat. Favorite bottle?
Yeah.
If you had to pick a wine that's kind of a benchmark wine, this is pretty special. Auctionable type wine. We're not going to sell this wine. This is a special dinner sometime with friends that we'll share this. Well, yeah, life's too short to drink bad wine is one of my favorite quotes. I don't know if this could be an epitaph on my tombstone. But